Hello and welcome again, and today I thought that we could paint maybe some aliens and creatures sort of thing. Maybe it's like some alien portraits. Let's give it a go. Might give us an opportunity to do some interesting textures and stuff. Shall we try? Oh, my paintbrush isn't working, I'm not sure why. Oh, I've selected a tiny blip in the corner. 4 pixels. Right, here we go. So we're going to start with a green alien. And I want to do some, I want to do some kind of portraits today in general. I think alien portraits just seem like the most interesting way to go. I have kind of this idea of making some kind of colourful aliens just on the fly. Might be able to put together some kind of method, you know. Might be a fun way to sort of learn to render and stuff like that, because you get to try out so many different materials and crazy shapes and stuff, you know. And you can kind of do it in a way with very simple building blocks, I feel like. I'm yet to prove that. Sometimes I think about, what is it? The highlight and the creases. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Okay. It's a bit Mr. Krabsy. Maybe we should put some on the top of the stalks. Yeah, maybe it'd be like a good kids exercise for digital painting. Maybe a little bit slowly, a little bit more slow than how I'm demonstrating. But you know what I mean. It's very basic shapes and rules. You can make something that's 3D without using much effort, or just generalization, really. Okay, then let's give him some eyes. I mean, all of these are just the most basic shapes. You've got, I don't know what that's called, dome. You've got like a dome. You've got 2 cylinders and just 2 spheres. Sphere's just a circle at the moment. Right, let's add some light to these, to the tops of his eyes. Oh, we was going to add the inside of his eyes, wasn't we? Yeah, I'm going to make that slightly yellow. Just going to cut this kind of shape out. I'm trying to remember that it's got to be kind of on the sphere shape. That's the difficult part, really. Both pretty much going to look the same, I think. We can just use any darker colour to make the pupil for now. It's just a placeholder, really. Here we go then. I'm going to bring some of this nice. You see, I've done I want to do, especially if we're doing some portrait type things today, I want to do some more fancy lighting. Some more rim lights like this. Maybe we can try and go crazy with it, you know. Do some really dramatic shadows and stuff like that. Okay then, just some general warm bright light for the room light here on the top of the eyes. Oh, it's maybe too yellow there. We go a bit more red, a bit more saturated red maybe even. Get in there, get in there. Sometimes you just gotta try an experiment until you get, you know, just the right value. Nothing wrong with going back to the colour palette a couple of times. Oh my god. Yeah, that's about it. I think we need to work some saturation into the middle area is probably why. It's called subsurface scattering. That's the simple diagram of it anyway. You have the bright light where it's hitting the light that's coming through the surface and poking back out, that's because it's travelled through, has picked up so much saturation, and then the actual shadow itself. I can literally just blur these three solid colours together to show you. Everything is just simple pans. I might have overdone it, to be honest, but just warming up, shaking off the rust for the morning today. I'm going to spread some of that nice saturated red around as well. So the light's going to be going through a lot of it. Yeah, it looks much better. I suppose it's going to have a mouth down here. This is a pretty common alien design, to be fair. I wonder if we could make it a little bit different. Not quite sure what shape to go with the mouth, so maybe we'll try out a couple. I don't see any problem with this though, just a little smile. Right then. I just want to give him a bit more of a... We're going to paint in a little bit more and give him some shoulders, I think. Because I want to try some, maybe some like scales on the shoulders, we'll see. The real goal of today's stream though, I want to get like a crazy looking... This is a pretty tame one, but I want to do some really crazy looking aliens and see if we can put the wildest looking one in the thumbnail, you know? He looks too nice, doesn't he? Looks a little bit Monster Inc-y, I feel like, actually. A bit like a mix between Monsters Inc. and the Muppets. Okay then. This is just building in the basic shapes still at the moment, but I think we are just about to transition into doing something a little bit more detailed and a little bit more texture to it. So we might start to make some parts a bit more... I'm painting with the eraser. Why do I always do it? All of that was with the eraser just then. Oh well. I had to double check then and make sure I hadn't just done it again immediately. Yeah, I was wondering why that didn't have the blue tint that it should. I think all of this has just been erased as well rather than faded. Oh well. So yeah, like I was saying anyway, we'll make all of these materials a little bit more interesting. So let's see if we can make it look a bit slimy maybe and a bit scaly too is what I was going to go for. And that can be easier and simpler than you'd think. More of just following the basic rules. You know, anybody can learn the rules, follow them. It just takes a little time to get used to sort of seeing things in 3D, and then you're all set. Okay, then I'm wondering how this blue light's gonna shine onto the mouth here. I don't know if it's not gonna touch it at all, but it doesn't feel quite right. Maybe just something like that, just to show that it is kind of bumping out. Yeah, definitely. Okay then, I'm gonna try some little reflections to kind of make him look slimy. See how we get on. something just a bit larger than one wants to be. Always helps to have the highlight in the darker area. However you can work that out. To make the mouth look like it's indented as well, we're just going to kind of, typically if the light's coming from above, you're going to make the top of something that's dented in darker and the bottom of it lighter, a little bit warmer. See that kind of, that's just basic embossing. It's the simplest way to get a 3D effect. I wonder if there should be some more light here where it's facing up. Just doesn't look quite right. Oh, I am thinking about a nose maybe. See, this started as quite a simple, almost boring even alien, but if you spend some time on any painting, it's always gonna, you know what I mean, it's always gonna amplify the results. It's always gonna make it look nicer. I think that's one of the biggest missed things in art is people just give up so fast and so easily. And even you know, with enough work, it's just an underestimation, I think, of the amount of time and the amount of trial and error it takes to make a drawing or a painting, especially if you're winging it like we do here. You know, that's the hardest. You know, that's really the hardest way to do it, and that's how a lot of artists, you know, try from the get-go. And it's doable, and it's doable from the get-go too, to be fair. But you're gonna have to spend time. Just takes time to learn all the little rules, and like I say, get that kind of what do I call it? Can't remember what it's called. You know, your conception of 3D. How well you can kind of paint in 3D naturally, or not naturally, but you learn it. But you know, you get used to it. You start to get a 3D vision. That's the best way I can describe it. Just gonna do a bit of a clean up, and then I think I'll move on and try and do a bit more of an interesting alien, because yeah, this one's a little bit of just a green blob. I'll come up with some crazy design. I need some something grabbing for the thumbnail. And do a little bit of a shadow on the top eyelid, and then have a little bit of light shining on the bottom eyelid as well, and that'll make it look indented. Again, just embossing that, and you get a little bright ridge here and there. I also like sometimes to put a bit of a highlight up here, like it's sticking out just a little bit at the edge, the brim of a cap. can really give it some character. Let's add some shading to the eyes. We're gonna have to make the eyes look shiny as well, but that should be pretty easy because we've kept their values low. All we've got to do is kind of add some highlights. These ones on that edge should be blue. Match the rest of the blue highlights that are around there. I think we're coming up to the last couple steps, just some pupils and a bit of light on the coloured section of his eye. I forget the name. Cornea? Is it cornea? I don't know. You're going to do that on the opposite side of the where the light is coming from. So light kind of scatters in the liquid. Often lands there in like gems and stuff like that. Just gonna add a couple little more highlights. I feel like I can squeeze just a tiny bit more believability out of this guy before we call it quits, actually. Way too bright. Trying to get better. I've been really thinking lately. I feel like I've noticed with my colour mixing, I'm going to try and get a bit better at trying to actually. I did that way too zoomed in, you see, and had no reference. But yeah, I've been trying to actually mix the colour more directly, if that makes sense. Because usually what I'll do is I'll pick a colour that's, if I want to make something darker than it already is, rather than picking that dark value that I want, I will pick a darker one that is more dark and then try to make it more saturated and then glaze that over the surface. And that works, but the issue is you can't work in a lot of saturation that way, just due to the mechanics of how colour works. If you make something really dark, right, black is always black. There's no green black and red black, and there's no way to add saturation to black without making it. Why does my brush keep going to the minimum? Oh, sorry, my bad. There's no way to make black more saturated without also making it brighter. Like, that's slightly green now, but it's also slightly brighter, and it's the same with white. So when you mix that colour that's darker than it should be, you just you naturally end up with less saturated work. And I feel like my work, I've always ended up editing it at the end. It's probably a lot because of that. I don't like how chubby his cheek is. I'm gonna unchub his cheek. One second, I just need to fiddle with some of the admin settings, I just realised. Alright. Just need some reflections on the top of his eyelids as well, I feel like. We didn't end up doing any scales though. Trying to make it nice and soupy and abstract. Right then, he's mostly done. Let's have a look and see what the brightness and contrast might do for him. Might just make it a little more, a little easier to see. Yeah, there you go. I say it's like a turning on a light switch. I don't know if that's fully. I don't know. I'm trying to add corrections so I kind of paint the bright thing initially. It's just kind of pinning down the little things that cause it. Yeah, that looks much nicer. Don't know if he'll need a bit more saturation or not. Maybe just a tiny bit. To be fair, it's like photography. You know, every photograph you kind of want to then edit, and I edit the exact same settings that people edit in photographs. It's purely like you know, like a camera settings thing. It's like I was saying in yesterday's stream, when you paint, especially from imagination, you are, you know, playing the role of a cameraman as well. You got to kind of decide exactly what lens. So you do decide, and you bake into your painting the FOV, so the wideness of the lens, pretty much from the first thing you paint. And it's same with all sorts of settings like that. Alright. Just thinking about what kind of alien we can paint next. I want something that looks really crazy. This guy looks he looks friendly, but he looks a bit too tame. I want a really crazy design, something that's out there. Just not quite sure. Maybe something. A lot of people do kind of like bugs. Oh. Yeah, I like the idea of something with big, almost compound eyes. I've got an idea for that. I might start with a sketch even. See how that goes. Yeah, I'm thinking of something with big, strange shaped eyes like that. And instead of compound, I want it split into like really random shapes. Instead of like a fly where it's all very regular shapes, you know. Here's the eye on the other side. Maybe we should give it a beak even. I don't want it to be like a bird beak shape though, because it's too earthly, you know. Not sure what kind of shape it should be. I'm thinking more like a turtle, to be honest. Is that what a turtle's beak is like? Like a snapping turtle? I don't know. I think I should come up with something that's not a beak, maybe. I feel like the back of its head is already kind of almost bird-shaped. Got quite a nice abstract shape going on here. Need to figure out how to turn it into a nice alien design. Might give it a bit of a proboscis. Seeing as you was thinking about kind of a bug-like design. That's super creepy. I feel like it should have two hands, like here. These are kind of almost human-like hands. Let's go for it though. Why not? This thing is intelligent life and it probably has opposable thumbs, right? Yeah, I think this one's going in the thumbnail. I don't know how to give it kind of like a bug body. Trying to avoid human shoulders a little bit. We need to give it bug-like arms, if that's the case. Or I don't know, maybe it's wearing clothes. So that kind of looks like, it was meant to be an arm, but it sort of looks like a sleeve, like a long sleeve of a robe. This is quite a cool alien design now. And then maybe it would have, you know, like almost like a spider leg type system at the bottom, coming out of the bottom of the cloak. This thing sits at the helm of some kind of ship, you know. Alright. Yeah, some fun concept design that, right? New Aliens would be. I mean, Aliens are a classic concept art convention, aren't they? So I'm struggling to use this scale tool. It's because the icon wasn't changing. It's not changing to like the double arrows. Yeah, about that large. Oh, yay big. Okay, then let's try and go with some interesting colours. Let's try and keep it bright and saturated if we can. First thing I'm thinking about is these eyes. These were the original ideas, so let's start by rendering them a little bit. Why is it not painting? It's so hard to deselect. Maybe we should try and work some colour abstraction in as well, actually. You see, I'm still going to try and get a bit darker as we go down here, even though I'm just painting the little bits that are inside the eye. It might be a bit hard to tell what's going on immediately. We're just getting a bit darker and a bit more orange, basically, as we go down on this shape. Doing this kind of tiger leopard print. And then the idea is a bit like one of those weird stress balls where you squeeze them and all the little like orange nodules come out. You know, it's a bit like one of them. Probably the inspiration for it, even. This is kind of the web that's over all the bits that squeeze out. It's kind of what the eye's gonna look like. You see, just getting this foundation of the values in already clears so much up and answers so many questions. And we can really start to work it in over time and make it look more and more believable. Okay, we've gone for kind of reds and oranges for the eyes. I think I'm going to try and go for a blue for the majority of the body. Something like that. Try and add some colour variation along the body. I think it should be a bit darker though. See how fast you can kind of get a foundation in. Blocking in is just too fun in digital. I want this to be, maybe we'll make this feathers. Either way, I'm going to add some kind of pattern here, you see. I'm just adding the beginnings of an abstract pattern that I'm not even sure myself what it will be yet. That's how it works. That's just the way you handle detail management, especially with meta surfaces. There's lots of little things on the surface, and all of those little things have their own texture and sometimes differing textures. We're always thinking contrast as well, so I haven't gotten the brightest value in quite yet. Trying to just slowly work towards that. Same for the darkest value. See, especially the more light something gets, really, almost. It's like at highlights is where you'll see the most texture often. But the bumpiness is really exaggerated. I don't know why I don't just do this all in red and then just paint the yellow little things. Oh, we should add a second light to this alien, actually. Should add the similar kind of backlight that we did over here, I feel like. So I don't add that enough on my portraits. It's a bit cliche, because I think it's just a very classic portrait lighting scheme, but I think why not? Make it look a little bit more dramatic. Just gotta get the cloak in first, I feel like, so that I can add the backlight lighting to that as well, because it's going to be blocking a lot of that light from getting to the head. It's going to be fun doing the wrinkles on this cloak, I'm sure. Paint the dark inside of his sleeve. The bigger you paint like this, the lower detail you got to remember that you're spreading in. So I was painting in much smaller brush strokes on the head, and you can see that's a lot more than the kind of rushed cloak that we've just done. Just got to figure out just the right shape here. It might be a bit more trial and error-y. Trying to figure out exactly how the lighting on this sleeve is going to be. That's why it's sometimes actually good to paint in these big general strokes. Even if it gives you these big plain blocks of colour that don't quite match the rest of the painting, it lets you. It's almost a necessary step to let you experiment with the global values of the the larger values, basically, I should say. Just thinking about what sort of striations will be here as well to represent in between the sleeves. These sorts of shapes can be so difficult. Some little orange hands, withered hands, withered long fingers. I think blue hands will be better. It'll match the rest of the body more. Red doesn't quite, and it looks, the gown is red, so it doesn't really make sense. So we're just going to paint over those exact values, just with the blue equivalent. That's speed painting for you. Just immediately make and repeal decisions. Well, you see that collection of just simple shapes for this hand over here. It's fun when you get to do shape design like that. A couple of really simple shapes can represent something so complex. Getting some nice bright purples in there now. I'm doing some sort of jowls, I think, on him at the moment. Add some little highlights in real quick, just to let myself sort of see what it's going to look like a little easier. These early highlights, they really, it's all about your perception of your own piece. The more you can read your own piece, the better decisions you'll make, trust me. So sometimes just doing some little things a little bit early can give you an advantage. I think those little, especially things that are completely inconsequential, like, you know, it took me 5 seconds to do some of those. The startings of some of those highlights there. Yeah, it makes a massive difference to how the piece looks. And you go in for the, I mean, that's the order that you work in, isn't it? I mean, people say, you know, you work from big shapes to small and or stuff like that. I'd say I am impact first, or that's how I would add. That's how I think is one of the most efficient ways to prioritize what to do next in your painting and make decisions. Is you always want to do the next thing that you want to do, you always want that to be the thing that will have the most effect, and then you work down. So you're going for the effect of diminishing returns, basically. You're trying to do the big changes first, and that, I think that's the real hierarchy. Whatever makes the painting look the most better. I don't know how to describe that, but the you know, whatever makes the biggest positive impact on the work is the next thing that you kind of want to do priority-wise. And I think that sounds obvious when you say it, but it's not always that way, because you know, like I say, some artists will go by, you know, the big shapes or the small shapes or what have you, but that rule isn't necessarily the same as that. Wouldn't lead to the same decisions. And I really do think the effect of making it look more complete to you, even, you know, even if it's not so complete. Like I say, you can it makes you you don't have to have such a good mental image anymore because it's on the page. It feels more like editing than creating then, which is easier. That's why blocking in is so effective. That's why speed painting is so effective, because you just you start from a block in, which is literally you blocking in the biggest, most important parts, and then you carry on blocking in. That's it. Yeah, but you just block in. You know, you only have less and less important parts to block in, right? So that's the joys of with digital speed painting is just, and probably speed painting in some traditional methods. It's just too fun for that reason. You always feel like you're making, you know, positive change on your work. And the biggest one possible at any one point, you know. I want to give him some kind of nostrils. I'm just not quite sure how to fit them onto this texture I've made here. I might keep the nostril on here. Maybe just one hole. That would be extra alien, wouldn't it? Add a little bit of my paintbrush isn't working. I think it's crashed. Yeah, it has. It's crashed. Hopefully I can get back on it. I've just seen there's a little can't see it on the stream, but there's a little error at the bottom saying server will be undergoing updates and maintenance soon. So I guess this is that. I'm gonna try and close and open the software, and hopefully the update and maintenance is instant. Hopefully it hasn't forgotten anything that we just painted. So give me 1 second. Yeah, seems like they are having an update, so can't run magma. I will probably just try to stream in the afternoon instead. So I'm going to sign out for now, and I'll see you then.